How is it going, everyone? It's Johnny Beard here with another episode and also a new season of Streamer Stories podcast. We're on season 7, and I thought, who better to start off with than the absolutely brilliant Gh0stArcade? Here he is.
Hello.
How you doing, man? It's so good to see you.
I'm doing good. Doing very good. Good to be here, of course.
Oh, it's so good to have you, man. How are things in general at the moment?
Things are very good. It's very warm here at the moment. So I have been sweating profusely for days. I have indeed.
You haven't
so I
stopped.
look very flushed. That is why I'm very warm right now. I am indeed.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
We're literally just talking behind just before we pressed record about, like, we got fans in our rooms and we're like, well, like, quality of the sound versus like being warm versus being cool.
Yeah, it honestly, the way that I would see it is that you could put so much compressor onto your microphone that it will sound like the introduction to an Inception movie, because all you hear in the background is just
Yes.
you know, you feel like as if like someone's about to come in through the door and a big action scene kind of kicks out. So
Yeah. And if you're not careful, that could have been some ASMR. So careful.
I don't think with my voice in very good way ASMR, but
You
I
never
can
know.
definitely try. Yeah.
Oh, Ghost, thanks so much for being on the podcast. I've been away. You're one of those people that I've seen on the circuit, shall we say, for a long time because you're so good at what you do, and it's been nice to get acquainted with you. Just gradually as time's gone on, and again, it was lovely to meet you, albeit briefly, in Insomnia in person. So again, thanks for being on.
Yeah, no worries at all, dude. It was a good pleasure. I feel like as if like whenever you meet people at conventions like that, it's really nice just to kind of like put the like the actual IRL personality there and not
Yes.
like a content creation personality.
Oh yeah.
So like even though it's brief, you can kind of get an aura for people or what they're like. So I'm actually
Definitely.
surprised that you asked me to do this podcast.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Nobody's
Absolutely. No,
Yeah.
definitely. And I met you. So I met, again, shout out to Helly and Kate. Again, who's been on this podcast. Like it was one of those moments where it's like you were both like involved in a chat, and I was like, do I what? Hi. I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
But it was so.
Just try
good
and
to
say
see.
hello to like two personalities at the same time, I guess, and get to know folks. Yeah.
Absolutely, and then you're like, I don't want to pry, but equally, like, I don't know when I'm going to be able to say hello again. So it's like, because again, that's it, you've gone, type of thing.
Yeah,
So,
that's it. It's like, yeah, just passing by these kind of things. Honestly, I will say for anybody who is listening or watching, genuinely conventions, if you ever have the means, of course, and if you ever have like the time and whatever else, go to a convention. TwitchCon, Insomnia is obviously no longer here, of course, but any of those conventions is always nice to meet folks because I don't know, I feel like if you'd be pleasantly surprised with other creators, if you are a creator or if you're just like a community member, I don't know, meeting up with people is like genuinely one of my favorite thing about any conventions and meeting new folks because it's all about, kind of networking, socializing. Not touching grass, though. Do
Yes.
not do that.
Never.
Because I am ill, because I left the house for one weekend. So.
No.
Yeah. Someone was like, yeah, touch grass. And I'm like, really? Do I? Okay, let's do it. Go out for a weekend and I come back with a cold. I'm like, well, that's an experience I'm never going to do again. So here we are.
Yeah. Oh man, no. Yeah. Worst thing you can do is definitely. Definitely don't. We probably shouldn't be saying this, should we? But well, Gh0stArcade. Do you want to introduce? We've been chatting for now, but do you want to introduce yourself for those who don't know who you are? What type of content do you create? Where can we find you? You have got your socials below you as well. So yeah.
Yes, I will indeed. Yeah, for anybody who doesn't know, I am a primarily like Dead by Daylight content creator. For anybody who knows Dead by Daylight, I'm a fog whisperer, which means I'm officially partnered with the game. I stream on Twitch, usually make content on like YouTube, TikTok. Mainly, I edit the majority of my stuff, and I just kind of like do really silly, goofy, ridiculous like clips for a very horror-focused game. So I'm more or less that person in every horror movie scenario that is the comic relief, but will probably eventually die in the end. So that is my kind of cup of tea, I guess. I'm a Twitch partner as well. Not that that really means anything, but yeah. So Twitch partner, Fog Whisper. Silly Goose. I'm from Ireland, and that's about the height of it. My voice sounds very strange all the time. So
You got a lovely Irish. I love the. Oh man, I love the Irish. We've had a few Irish people on. Yeah, I could listen to Irish people any day, all day, any day. One of the best
yeah,
accents
I
around.
feel like as if my accent specifically with the energy is like a washing machine that is just slowly falling down the stairs. Is basically what I sound like. You know.
You're massive discrediting yourself. You know. You really, no. But yeah, brilliant. Yeah, but other than that last bit, yeah, that's how I've seen your content as well. You know, as yeah, that's to a T, pretty much. Yeah, that horror Dead by Daylight stuff. I mean, yeah, and your video editing is incredible as well. I must say, I'm very jealous, very jealous.
Oh,
Of those
thank you very much. I literally, a lot of people ask where I like how I do my videos and stuff. My YouTube stuff, I do have an editor for it because it's usually like longer stuff. My short form content, like TikTok and stuff, it's literally just me on my phone. So I just edit it on my phone. Literally, this bed right behind you, it's not cosmetic. I lie in that bed and I edit videos till 3 o'clock in the morning in nothing but my PJs and socks. So there you go.
Yeah, don't touch grass, guys, and be like Gh0stArcade. I mean, absolutely, yeah. Just so for me, I didn't know it was your phone as well. Oh my god, that's incredible. I don't know how people do stuff on. I'm just a bit of a boomer, like in that respect. I'm like, phone, yeah. I'm so
yeah, there's this kind of thing that you're like, if I want to do good editing, I have to do it on my PC or laptop.
Yeah.
I thought that too. Genuinely, I did because I did video editing like back long time ago in college and stuff like that. I loved like audio editing. I was like an audio engineer for a while. But in regards to like the video editing aspect of it, I was like, there has to be an easier way to do this for like TikTok. So yeah, I was looking at programs one day. I came across a program that was just absolutely fantastic and free. And then I just decided, you know, what's the user ability or the interface? Hopefully I haven't put anybody to sleep listening who doesn't do recording or anything yet. But yeah, so like that was kind of how I did it. And then you build up from there. You know, you do something many times, you get like a kind of idea of what you want in your head. So that's the main way that I kind of edit my videos, is like a little storyboard or, you know, a funny scenario that I can add a few things to. So yeah, I do enjoy editing, honestly. Like till this day, pumping out X amount of videos per week or whatever. It's just always like really fun. And I do like, I don't know, hopefully this doesn't sound pompous, but I do have a giggle at my own kind of stuff whenever I do it. So I'm like,
oh yeah,
you know,
that's
hopefully
fine.
if I like it, someone else will, you know what I mean? So
that's my logic as well. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, if I can make me laugh, hopefully I can make someone else laugh or cry, you know? So, yeah.
Oh man. All right, so that's now, isn't it? But let's go back to childhood. Let's go back to what are your earliest memories in terms of like video gaming? So did you play games? Did you watch games? Like, what are your first memories of video games?
Strangely, like this, right? I'm not going to like dox my age or anything like that, but hopefully people will have a ballpark kind of figure of my age kind of range. Very young. My parents bought for Christmas one year, myself and my brother. At the time, there was 2 in our family. We recently have adopted a little sister, which is kind of cool. But at the time, it was 2 of us. So 2 of us home Christmas time. My parents bought the very first Nintendo, not the Super Nintendo. Like I'm talking like OG gray box NES. And you know, we didn't have a clue what this was because we were young and this was like a new system for us. So it wasn't the Atari or any kind of stuff like that. And it was just the regular kind of games. So you had like Duck Hunt, Mario, like Tetris. And I remember just playing Mario and was just blown away by it. It was incredible. And like, I don't know if you remember this, and hopefully a few folks will remember this. I'm pretty sure this turned into a meme now, but sometimes the game wouldn't work. So you had to take out the gray cartridge, and you had to be like, shh, like blowing on the cartridge to kind of put it back in to make sure that it worked. The amount of time that we did that, or the lucky tap, so we would just basically like tap the Nintendo, you know, just to make sure, like, please work, you know what I mean? And then you would tap the Nintendo a few times, then it'll work. But yeah, like Mario, I think one of my favorite kind of bunch of games for those like little systems. I don't know if anybody remembers it. This is probably very niche, but there was a game called Monsters in My Pocket.
Oh, I think I've heard of it briefly. Yeah.
Yeah, so for anybody who doesn't know, right, Monsters in My Pocket was kind of like a Polly Pocket. Was it like Max, something Max? There was Polly Pocket, and then there was like Mighty Max. That's what it was.
Okay.
The
Yeah. Yeah.
equivalent, which was Mighty Max. And then Monsters in My Pocket were these little kind of collectible monsters that you could get.
Oh, yeah.
Like in, obviously in shops and stuff. So they made a video game from it. And I think it was like 1991, let's just say. I'm probably very wrong on that, but you got to play as Dracula and Frankenstein's monster, and you just go like to levels like through the sewers and through like a house, and just like kind of like annihilating these monsters with like a kind of like flame kind of ability that you had. And honestly, that game was just my like peak childhood for me.
Nice,
That
yeah.
and Mega Man, yeah. So, oh, incredible. Oh, you're giving me blast from the past asking me this stuff.
Yes.
Sorry if I'm ranting too much about it.
No,
If you get me on
that's what I
something
want.
like this,
This is
I'm
great.
all
This is
about
great
it.
stuff. This is what the podcast is about. Absolutely. But
Yeah.
no, I've not heard of that game particularly. I mean, and I didn't have an NES. But again, just the whole blowing in the cartridge thing. I mean, and it's funny you mentioned about the tapping of the cartridge. Like the Nintendo cartridges were a lot more sturdy, I feel like, than the Mega Drive. So if I tapped my Mega Drive cartridges, it'd make it worse.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. You'd be playing Sonic, you would tap it like once,
Yeah.
and then next thing you know, you're playing like Streets of Rage. You're like, wait, I didn't even change the cartridge. What the heck?
Yeah.
Not that that would happen, but you know what I mean. It would
Yeah.
just like bust the whole thing. Yeah.
The sound just go, oh, it's like, oh no, oh no, I've lost everything.
Yeah,
So-
you would have it. Hold on, I'm gonna do this. Hopefully, this is all right for the podcast. But you would literally be tapping it at the start and be like, "Say go,"
yeah, basically.
and then just completely destroyed. Yeah.
yeah.
So-
Oh no, yeah. No, it was, but again, those were the days. Though, again, no, we're going. Oh, those are the days. But it's true. Like they used to be like, don't blow in the cartridge, like warning labels. Pfft. I don't think anyone listened to that advice.
No. Everyone like you know your dad who's like, oh, don't listen to them.
Yes.
They don't know what they're talking about. You know when your dad like kind of like wiping it off his jacket and then slapping it on the kitchen table and
Yeah.
and it always worked. And then you put the cartridge back in, you're like,
Yeah.
how does he do that?
I used to get weird stuff like on the PlayStation as well. Like if you had a few scratches on your PlayStation disc, I used to get told like, "Oh, rub banana skin on it." I'm like, "What?" And it sometimes worked. Can I just say, or shoe polish is the
Yeah.
other one. So
This is like a little sidewinder, right? But I will say this, like you mentioned the PlayStation, there was one game for the PlayStation I was completely obsessed with.
Okay,
Which
yeah.
started like a very big franchise, like kind of like spiral for me, I guess. But I loved Metal Gear Solid. I don't know if you've ever played the original MGS or anything like
I
that.
played it for the first time yesterday on stream.
No way! Like the original.
The original, yeah. Well, on emulator, but yeah.
Incredible game, genuinely incredible. But whenever you got the PlayStation 1 version of Metal Gear Solid, it was one of those 2-disc
Yes.
like games. So you got to like, I'm not going to spoiler it for anybody. I know it's a very old game, but if you're playing it for the first time, I'll not spoil it for you. But there's a very specific part in the game that you get to before you have to put in the second disc.
Right.
And I would always get to that part and then I would have to put in the second disc. But for some reason, it must have been the copy that we got or something. The second disc was scratched.
Oh no.
So for months, and I'm talking months, I could not finish that game because I didn't have a second disc. And I like constantly asked my parents, but my parents were those types where they were like, yeah, just like, try this, try the banana skin, try like, I think my dad was like, if you put a bit of varnish on it, it
Yeah.
might help it.
Yeah,
Broke
yeah.
the game.
Oh,
Completely broke the game. Yeah. So I had to wait till like many years later. And then I literally like asked for Christmas for Metal Gear Solid again, even though I already had the game, just so I could get the second disc. And finally completed it, cried my eyes out. Fantastic game, honestly. Incredible game, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's been long overdue for me playing it. And yeah, I was because we were emulating it. I was like, oh right, you need the CD, JB, you need the CD to get into to put this code in. to continue, or you can't progress. And I was like, oh no, whatever shall I do, type of thing, because that was their like anti-piracy get around, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, they had all these kind of like, you know what? To be fair, not to go on a rant about, or like a good rant, I should say, about Metal Gear Solid, but it was very like advanced, like, and very like breaking the fourth wall for a game at the time, because there was one part of the game. I don't know. Like, I think this is a popular enough, hopefully, thing to say this, and you know about this. Do you know of Psycho Mantis so far?
Yes.
Yeah. So, like, in a nutshell, Psycho Mantis, to kind of beat him, you had to like remove your controller from one port and put it in the second port.
Oh.
Originally, to like fight that boss.
Oh.
Because
okay.
he's like telepathic, right? So he would like you know, kind of like read your mind and stuff. And it genuinely, that was like mind blowing for me, like incredible. And then the code on the back of the box, and you know, the way that they talked was kind of like they were talking to you as the person playing the game, as opposed to like the character. And I was just like blown away by this. I was obsessed with Metal Gear Solid. I still am. It genuinely is probably in one of my top 3 favorite like franchises of all time, just because of that.
No, that's awesome. No, that's yeah. I didn't know about that bit. Yeah, but I to be fair, I think I've heard about that. So yeah, I've not quite got that far yet. But I have met Psycho Mantis. I'm looking forward. The thing is, I know about these certain characters. Again, it's quite interesting because I'm playing it for the first time in 2024. Like hearing just certain sounds. Like again, I didn't know that. Oh, that's that boom sound is from Metal Gear Solid. No idea.
Yeah.
You know, so it's quite funny. I'm like, I should know this, but I didn't.
Yeah, the codec device is like the iconic sound. Yeah, that and like Snake's death sound.
Yes.
I don't know if you've heard that.
Many times. I'm not very good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, so you had the NES? Did you jump to PlayStation? Did you have another console in between? What was your pathway in terms of consoles?
You know what? Like honestly, I'm gonna say like a massive shout out to my parents. They were very, very good to both of us as kids, because genuinely every year it was always Christmas. That I'm assuming they would have saved up, like, you know, very, very hardworking parents that would want to kind of give us all we asked for Christmas, I guess. But my folks actually got us like more or less every console, like up until, you know, PlayStation, I think, whenever we were old enough to kind of get our own stuff. So we had like, you know, your Nintendo, we had Sega, Super Nintendo, even the Dreamcast. So there was like games, like bits and bobs. I think the Nintendo was obviously the most nostalgic and iconic for me.
Yeah.
But like, you know, I never really, it's very strange that this is like my career now, I guess, because I was never really big into games in my like teenage years.
Okay.
I was more into like music. I was more into kind of like playing in bands and stuff like that. And then kind of fell back into gaming very later on, which was very strange. But, you know, retro games and stuff like that was the main kind of like nostalgia point. And then whenever my parents got me the PlayStation, as I said, Metal Gear Solid, Resident Evil, Tekken, that was like the 3 first huge games that I think that properly like pulled me in, you know, to just like staying inside during summer and being very antisocial and staying up to all hours gaming. Like that was my like kind of like, you know, cherry on top of my gaming experience, I guess.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah. Who was your Tekken main then back in the day?
I love Jin, to be honest. Jin was like, obviously I started off with Tekken 1 and Jin didn't come in until like Tekken 3, I think.
Yeah.
But in Tekken 1, it was, I think it was actually Yoshimitsu.
Yeah.
You remember? Yeah, it was the robotic one.
Yeah.
Fantastic, because they would show you these little tiny snippets of like storyline after you complete each person's kind of like campaign. And I thought it was really cool. But then whenever Tekken 3 came out, and this is actually a very fun fact, and nobody make fun of me for this, all right? I used to actually like style my hair kind of like Jin's hair because I loved it so much.
Yes.
And then that's kind of carried on to my recent kind of like hairstyles, because it's obviously just amalgamated into whatever the heck this is. I'm not too sure, but that's kind of like originally where I got the idea for like the spikes and the tight kind of cut and stuff.
Oh my gosh,
so yeah,
Ghost Arcade lore here now, aren't we?
well, there you go. Like, I don't think anybody is like I've ever really mentioned that before.
No,
just because no one's ever asked, you know. So it was kind of. I just remember looking at the hair and I was like, "Oh, that is so cool." I mean, he's so cool.
He was the guy that everyone wanted to be, and all the girls wanted to be with. Like that was my interpretation of Jin. Like,
100%.
He was like just. Oh,
you know,
yeah,
yeah. He was like, you know what I mean. He's a demon. He's a fighter. He's very handsome. Yep. He may have daddy issues, but he's trying to sort them out.
Exactly.
You know, so he's everything anybody wants.
Yeah,
baggage included.
I wanted this black flare pants with the fires. Oh, like to this day, I'm like, I still want to get a pair. I don't care. I'm in my mid to late 30s. I don't care. I still want a pair of Jin's pants, man. I just want them.
Yeah,
I don't care.
100%. If somebody handed me them and was like, "Can you do a cosplay of this?"
Yeah.
I'd be like, "Say less."
Oh, dude, you'd be amazing. You'd look incredible with those pants.
I would honestly love to. It has just never crossed my mind to kind of like do that type of thing, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe one day. I'm not sure. Maybe.
I always loved the ones in Tekken Tag Tournament as well. I don't know if you played out on a PS2, but you had the blue flame version. I was like, oh my god! Just in case you thought you could be even cooler, they got a blue flame version.
Who knew that a color change would work so well?
Yeah, yeah.
Incredible stuff. Yeah. Oh man.
Oh, Tekken, man.
Tekken.
Oh. So yeah, Resident Evil. I mean, I'm a huge Resi fan as well. So you went. What was your story? What's your history with Resi?
So once again, like this all revolved around Christmas for me, I guess. I think this is like whenever games were like booming for my household as such, because obviously my parents, once again, were very kind and would gift us these games at Christmas. But I remember it was coming up to Christmas, and I asked for. We had this catalog, right? For anybody in the UK would know, and I'm sure yourself knows Argos, right?
Yes.
So my parents would hand me an Argos catalog, and they would be like, "What do you see that you like?" You know, obviously Santa's still around at this stage, but my parents would be like, "You see anything that tickles your fancy?" You know, that type of thing. Just trying to like probe out what you want for Christmas or what Santa wants to get you, I guess.
Yeah.
But we were looking at games, and whenever we were looking at these games, I seen this game called Die Hard Trilogy. Right?
Yes.
Which was a horrendous game, but at the time I was like, this is exactly what I want, because there's explosions and everything else. And then my brother was very big into like action games, and he saw this game called Resident Evil Director's Cut.
Okay, yeah.
Didn't know what a director's cut was, didn't know what Resident Evil was, but there was a guy on the front cover holding a gun. So my brother was like, yes, that is the game for me. So we both got these games at Christmas, and I sat down to play Die Hard. I was having a whale of a time. I was enjoying it so much. And then my brother sat down after me to play Resident Evil. Hated it. He was like, "There's no action in this. I'm walking around a mansion." He's like, "I don't want to. What is this? House simulator? Get out of here." And then would hate it. But secretly, he told me many years later it was because he was very scared. And he didn't want to admit that.
That makes sense.
So I was just so I played Die Hard to death, didn't even touch Resident Evil. And then one day I was just like, I'm very bored of Die Hard. I'm going to try out this other game. And I put in Resident Evil, and whenever I started playing it, I lost track of time. Like genuinely, I was like, I am obsessed with this game. This is incredible. Like I love, like, obviously maybe the name kind of tells folks, like Gh0stArcade, I guess, but I love like Halloween stuff. I love like spooky stuff. I love kind of like any of those like Halloween kind of like mystery, paranormal, all that kind of stuff combined. Like I'm a huge horror nerd. So whenever you set something down in me that is in a mansion in the middle of nowhere with hidden doors, secrets, and then there's zombies roaming around, and you're trying to look for your teammates who went missing.
Yeah.
Sign me up a million times. So yeah, I played Resident Evil so much in my very young age that I was afraid to leave the house just in case there would be a zombie outbreak, which is obviously impossible. But at that age, I was like, no,
Yeah.
I can't. So yeah, I got obsessed with it then, and then ever since, Resident Evil 2, 3, like all of them except for 5, 6, and Revelations is I like. There's a few spin-off games, but that is apart from those 3 games or 4 games, I can't count. But apart from those 4 games, everything else Resident Evil has just like had me in a chokehold, as the cool kids say, for like a very long time. Even recently, I've started with like platinum kind of stuff, but I know you're going to ask something about that later.
Yes.
So yes, I'll not segue into it just yet. So, yeah.
No, that's cool. Hell yeah, man. Oh, that's so good. I'm going to be doing some. I don't know if you do. Again, it's a question about mods, but I don't screw it. I'm going to go into it. Like I don't know, but I'm going to be playing a modded door randomizer of Resident Evil tonight. We do that once a month with a different member of the Resident Evil community, and that's a head fuck. Like that's like there's so much stuff going on because it turns the base game as you know it into like this puzzle of, well, where do I need to go next to get these items? Because all the items are random and everything. It's batshit crazy.
Yeah,
you might have to maybe look into that one time.
I think the only mod that I've seen on full with Resident Evil, I really hope you've seen this because it is absolutely hilarious. There is one mod, and I think it's Resident Evil 2. Whenever you're in RPD, Mr. X in the Resident Evil 2 remake?
Yeah.
Is Thomas the Tank Engine?
Yes.
And I was like, I don't know what's even more like the only thing that would make this more terrifying is if they had Mr. Blobby as Mr. X.
They have. They've done that. I've seen it.
No, they haven't. Have they?
Yeah. Someone sent me that a few days ago. Actually, it was like, oh my god, no. There's so many Mr. X mods.
Yeah, I like because I just like honestly, if you ever send me that, and I was gonna ask, can you send me that?
I'll try and find it. Yeah.
I cannot wait to explain this in therapy in many years time. I cannot wait, honestly.
I did. Well, people send me Mr. Blobby stuff because I cosplayed as Mr. Blobby last year. I made this stupid thing, and I'm sure you understand as a streamer, where I allowed chat to choose my next cosplay. And I had like the 4 popular options. Mr. Blobby was amongst them. I thought, people in the US don't know who Mr. Blobby is. This ain't going to get past. And that was it. Then everyone trolled it. Everyone from the UK trolled it and retweeted it and sent everyone in the US, hey, vote Mr. Blobby. You're not going to regret it. And that, yeah.
Oh, man. You know what? I'm not too sure when the podcast is coming out. But like similar kind of story to what you were saying. So we recently I celebrated my 4 years on Twitch, and I did like a subathon. And during the subathon, there was like a choose my cosplay type thing, but there was also this thing that I got. I don't like pickles. I'm not a big pickle person at all.
No.
But I got this pickle online, and it was like a chili, salty pickle thing.
Oh no.
I can't remember the name of the brand, but they're like Mr. Pickle, Miss Pickle. I don't know what it is, Pickle Sisters. But it's like one of these things. I tried it on stream. It was horrible, like horrible. And then it spiraled into this conversation of people calling me like Gh0stArcade and stuff like that. And then yesterday, I actually got offered the front page of Twitch for the day. So I was just like, okay, let's do a front page stream. This is going to be great. And then the build up to the front page after the subathon, people were still talking about this pickle thing.
Oh no. Yeah.
To the point where somebody bought me on Throne a pickle costume and then bought me another pickle, but only this time it was garlic, right? So I was like, I don't know how to register this in my this is terrible. But you have to do it. You know what I mean? You have to do it. And secretly, I'm like, this is really funny.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Course,
like, I'm having fun, or I wouldn't do it. That type of thing. But so the main plan was supposed to be that whenever I was on the front page, if my pickle costume arrived on time, my stream title had to be, I'm kind of a big dill, like dill pickle.
And then amazing. Yeah.
And then people come in to me dressed up as a pickle costume, and I was like, this is my first time ever on Twitch front page.
Oh no.
Right? In front of thousands of people.
Yeah.
And you want me dressed like a pickle. So
first impressions.
Thankfully the costume has not arrived. It didn't arrive in time, so I didn't have to do that.
Oh,
However, I will be Yeah, I will be making up for it for doing like a pickle week. So look out for that, where I'm gonna be a pickle on
Wow.
Twitch.
Oh
It
my
is.
God.
It is. It's gonna be something to relish.
Hey, I love
Sorry,
it. Yes, no,
that's terrible.
yeah. that was,
Sorry.
wow, that's incredible. How do we go for that from Resident Evil, man?
I know, and that just it went down in a spiral. I think it was the Mr. Blobby thing, and then
was.
how you kind of panned down from it afterwards. So yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
amazing. So we haven't talked much about like in terms of like co-op. I know you mentioned Resident Evil 5, you're not a big fan, but like but Dead by Daylight is obviously a co-op game. So how much like in terms of multiplayer co-op games, we're part of like, you know, young Ghost or even current Ghost, but where's multiplayer coming for you?
To be honest, I think like couch co-op was a huge thing for me growing up. You know, it was because like obviously me and my brother would like play a load of like, you know, Mario, Luigi, that type of stuff.
Yeah.
And then it got to that point, I think, as I said to you earlier, that I kind of like dropped off gaming in general. So I never really had much kind of like interaction. But one thing that always like fascinated me at my young age was the ability to play with people around the world.
Yes.
Like this was something that was always very fascinating to me.
Yeah.
Because obviously the internet was just like coming in, you know, around my teenage years or whatever. Not to dox myself again, age-wise, I'm very young and handsome. But anyway, but yeah, I'm only joking, by the way, for anybody who doesn't know me. I go between self-deprecating humor and then just kind of like really bad on the nose humor. So hopefully people aren't looking at this being like, this weird sounding dude is pretty weird, you know? So, but anyway, sorry, I'm digressing. But whenever I was in college, my friends had like Xbox at the time. So they were like, Call of Duty was the huge thing.
Yes.
I think that was the big thing for that time anyway. So they were talking to me about Call of Duty, and like there was one guy that I used to live with in college. There was like 5 of us in a house, right? And I would be mixing music and making my little playlists and stuff down in my room. And all you could hear from like the distance every night without fail is just like, how dare you come back here, headshot, you know, that type of stuff. Just like till all hours in the morning, and I'm like, is he like summoning a demon in his room? What is going on down there?
Yeah.
So like we kind of convinced him to come out of his room and kind of like put it on the big TV in our like living space. And then I was like, so you're playing with people like everywhere? And he's like trying to explain like EU servers and US servers and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, so worldwide? And he's like, no, so like it's only like Europe. And I'm like, Europe around the world? You know, that this wasn't, the penny wasn't dropping for me at all. But obviously this concept of it now, I was just like, this is incredible. So I started playing. I got like very, very quickly addicted to it. And then, you know, that's where my co-op stuff kind of got. So I got my own Xbox afterwards. I did my own, you know, kind of co-op that way with Call of Duty. And then it was Rainbow Six Siege for a while. And then I was bouncing between the two. I mean, that was kind of it, I guess. Like, even whenever I started streaming, it was Rainbow Six Siege was my big kind of like streaming game at the time, and then moved over to Dead by Daylight because I wanted to kind of strip it back to like the horror kind of aspect of it, because obviously I love horror more than, you know, Call of Duty, I guess. So I was kind of one of those things. So that was it. Very, very brief break. And then college kind of brought me back into that. So yeah.
Goodness. Wow. So is there any games over the years, again, you know, both sides of the break, should we say, that were like just not good? Again, if your parents maybe perhaps bought you like a game maybe that you didn't ask for, or that you thought, oh, that would be good because I got to look good, but it just wasn't. What's some of the worst games or bad games that you've played?
I think I'm trying to think of like games that frustrated me.
You
know what I mean? It's not like a game wasn't good, because I could say like, you know, like the game critic in everybody, I guess, because people do like to be their own kind of critics. Like Metal Gear Solid 2, not my highest rated Metal Gear Solid game. Still very good though. I still enjoyed it. I'm like easily pleased, I think, for like movies and games. Like it takes a lot for me to be like, this is trash. You know, that type of thing. I like to I don't know. I like to be a very analytical person. I'm like, I love the effort that the company put into this or
Yeah.
whatever else. You know, even whenever I was young, I was like, this is fascinating that people can make, graphics like this, that type of thing. But I think the one game that kind of like stressed me out the most, not that I hated, but it just stressed me out, was Abe's Odyssey.
Okay, yeah, yeah. Well, definitely a good game, but not for everyone. Yeah, for sure.
Yes. It was creepy. I loved the creepy element of it. I loved the like, you know, follow me and the kind of voice lines and stuff of it and the concept of it was very fun. However, like overall, it was the most frustrating game for me because I just didn't really know how to progress in it.
Yeah.
I don't know if you got this or I don't know if anybody got this. You get to a stage in a game where you're just like so stuck, to the point where you're like, I'm never going to play this game ever again. Elden Ring, folks, you know what I'm talking about. But, it's like you get stuck in a game so much that you're like, this is just it forever in terms of this game, And then whenever you finally get it, it's either a huge relief or it's kind of like a, how did I not get this earlier type thing? Abe's Odyssey, it took me, I'm going to say about like 5 years. 5 years to go back to the game and get to the point that I was like stuck on. And to this day, I can't even remember what point. I think I had to collect one of like, Abe's friends or family or whatever the case was. And I just didn't know where they were, And this is back in the day, obviously, as well, where you couldn't like just Google or YouTube stuff. So you were just kind of running around trying to figure it out yourself.
Yeah.
So I think that was it. That or Siphon Filter, if you remember Siphon Filter. Yeah, Siphon Filter, nightmare of a game. Fantastic, but nightmare.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Goodness, yeah. No, I've not played Siphon Filter. Abe's Odyssey I played, but I only mostly played the demo of it, so I didn't play the game in full. It's like on my list. Like there's a lot of like retro games. I mean, I usually do games on a Sunday called Retro Sundays, and I pick out a game. I do want to finally get that chip off my shoulder and finish an Abe's game because but. Yeah,
amazing.
I remember.
Please let me know. Let me know whenever you're doing it, because I want to be in stream. I want to be like, this is the part.
Right,
JB, this is the part.
Yeah.
Okay, prepare yourself. I hope you're wearing your best socks.
Yeah.
All right, because you're gonna need this.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. Okay. Looking forward to that. So, if you were stuck on a remote island, then, and you're on that island forever, I'm sorry, you're not coming back on mainland, even though you are technically on an island now. Actually, much smaller island. Much smaller island, and you're stuck on it. You can only have 3 games with you for the rest of your life on that island. You can play online, you can do mods, DLC, whatever you want to call it, but only 3 games. What would they be and why?
3 games?
Yeah, you can only bring 3 with you.
Here's the side, like two sub questions to this. Number 1, is there internet access?
Yes.
Number 2, does this include DLCs?
Yes.
Okay. It's going to be a weird one for you, Ryan. 3 games.
Yep.
Is what we got. I'm going to say, obviously, Dead by Daylight, right?
Yes, it makes sense.
It's my main thing. Like, I can never get sick of that game at all. I've been playing it for, I'm going to say maybe like the whole 4 years that I've been on Twitch, maybe. I did start off on Twitch with, not that anybody cares, but Rainbow Six Siege, moved over to DBD, but I think the majority of the year was taken up by DBD. So 4 years DBD, and I've just never got sick of the game. Never got burnt out, any of that stuff. It is just fun for me. So obviously, that would be one, I would say. Then the second one, this might be a bit of a weird one, but it's obviously ringing back with Resident Evil and stuff.
Yeah.
Resident Evil 7, I think I would bring it because the DLC stuff with it, there's this specific card game on Resident Evil 7. I got addicted to it. I was trying to get the trophy for it. Because there was a trophy if you win the game, but the game was like extremely rigged, on purpose because it's supposed to be very frustrating. There's a way like around it and stuff. And it took me a very long time to get in. And in that time, I was like, I actually love this game.
Yeah.
This game is so, it's like The Witcher with Gwent. You know what I mean?
Yes,
There's
exactly.
like a game within a game, and then you're like, why do I love this game just as much, but in a different way? You know what I mean? To the game's, I guess, like, parent version of it. But Yeah, so Resident Evil 7, awesome DLCs, very fun game to play, and it's very rewarding for how you play the game. So that would be another one. And then I think the third game.
So with the third, it catches everyone off.
Yeah, I don't know about the third. You know what I mean? Because that's like two straight off the bat for me. I think like third game, I would love a retro game.
Okay,
Maybe.
yeah.
Mega Man Classics. If I had Mega Man Classics. Because then you have all the Mega Mans, and it's just like I can play those games till like forever. You know what I mean? Recently, I actually got them on my I have like a PlayStation. I never play PlayStation stream. This is like my little personal PlayStation that I don't do with stream. It's different username, all that kind of stuff. So I literally just like, you know, trophy hunt on it, and kind of like me and Kate kind of like do your own like trophy hunt and stuff. And I got the Mega Man Classic Collection, and it's like all of them. So yeah, that's gonna be my final one. I'm very satisfied with that answer.
Yeah, great games. Hell yeah. And I love it when people cheat and go, "What a collection," because it works. Well, why not?
Dude, that's why I was asked about DLCs. Exactly. I was like, well, hold on a minute. A DLC can change the whole thing here. So,
like, you could go Sega Mega Drive collection with the 40+ games on it. Technically, no one's done that yet on the podcast, but you could.
I was, Well, the only thing, as soon as you said about the collection, I was just like, I should have chose an emulator. Like an emulator that just has every single every single game, and I'm like, well, this is a cheat because now I have them all.
Exactly.
But yeah,
lovely segue though into achievements and stuff like that. So you do achievement hunting, trophy hunting, that's your thing?
Yes, like a personal kind of thing. I don't do it for like this is kind of like a strange thing as well. Once again, sorry if I'm like talking too much on this. I feel like as if everything has like a story. So but my main obsession, like, and it's not really a secret obsession because I do tell people about it, but I love watching speedrunners. Like trophy hunting, speedrunning is honestly fantastic. I will tell you now, and this is a shout out to this person. They're going to be very surprised that I mentioned their name in this podcast. But I did meet them before, and we are friends. But Son of Jazzy is a person that I definitely want to give a shout out to. They do like, kind of like all these trophy kind of like collectibles thing. They've made it YouTube channels of it as well, like YouTube videos. Sorry, but yeah, Jazzy is absolutely fantastic. Very funny individual, very like warm personality. Nice. But I love watching their content because even if it's a game that I'm not interested in, they will like go through like trophies. And they will explain like how hard it is, what they had to do, how grindy it was, etc., etc. So I love like watching trophy hunt videos. I love watching kind of like speedrun videos. And then obviously in my personal time, especially with myself, Kate, we do trophy hunting ourselves. So it would be like platinum stuff. I think it was the first thing I did with Dead by Daylight was like 100% the game.
Yeah.
And then I realized that every DLC, naturally they bring out new trophies. So I'm always like, everyone's like, oh man, I was 100%, but now I'm like 97, whereas I'm there like,
yes, bring it on.
It's time to go to work, baby. So I just love trophy hunting. It's great.
Hell yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Fair play. So that's streaming for 4 years. Congratulations on your recent anniversary as well. So I know you kind of touched on it bits and pieces, but what were the leading factors into hitting that go live button for the first time? Like, how did you come up with your username? What was the journey going into that process of hitting that go live button?
Earlier, whenever I said I was very boring with stories, like IRL.
You've got like, so many stories. What's the biggest lie you've told me today?
Really?
You've got great stories. I'm loving this.
I never thought these are kind of like sitting down in a coffee shop stories.
No, I'm like, I don't know. I've had worse people on a podcast. Shh, I shouldn't be saying that on my own podcast, but I have. Sorry. You're really fun to talk to.
Yeah. Well, all I'm saying is this is a very boring thing. I think a lot of people are like, well, I loved looking up to the moon at 1:30 a.m. every day, whispering my username into the clouds to see if it felt right. With me, it was kind of like one of those things that, first of all, starting streaming, this is like a very embarrassing story, right? And it's a very silly story. I have told this in stream many times because people do ask me like, how do you start streaming and stuff like that. It's just a natural kind of like
Yeah.
question, I think, for most creators. But my parents, once again, this is weird that everything is kind of connected together. So my parents have always bought me stuff for Christmas, as I've said. They've been very like attentive, fantastic parents. Shout out both to,
Yep.
sorry, I did that myself.
Yes.
But yeah. So yeah, they have been great. But one year, my parents didn't know what to get me for Christmas. I got to the stage where I was like in college, and I was kind of like, at a very weird time where you're kind of like, I like technology, I like gadgety stuff, but I kind of like have my little iPod at the time and all the other kind of business. So it's kind of one of those things that like they didn't really know what to get me, right? So what happened is that my parents bought me a webcam,
Okay. Yeah.
and I was like, "What? Why?"
Yeah, that's quite a
I was like,
unusual
this-
gift from your parents, isn't it? Yeah.
I was like, "This is the year of like iPhones," and I was just like, "I could just literally FaceTime you if you wanted to, like, you know what I mean?" So
Yeah,
I thought
yeah.
this is a very bizarre thing. But yeah, and then obviously, so my parents got me this webcam, and I was like, great, I have no idea what I want to do with this at all. But later on, my birthday's in January, so I got myself an Xbox. So I was playing on the Xbox, I think it was the Xbox One at the time, maybe. Must have been. Anyway, but yeah, Xbox One, I was looking for games to play on it, because obviously I had my Call of Duty, I had my Rainbow Six Siege that I was like absolutely avidly into at the moment. But I heard of this game coming out that was called Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
obviously Friday the 13th, huge horror franchise.
Yeah.
I love Friday the 13th. It's absolutely cheesy. And then I was like, okay, so there's this game, Friday the 13th. And I was telling all my friends about it. And then whenever it got released, I didn't buy it yet because I wanted to see if it was good or bad. So what I did was went on the Xbox kind of like homepage, and then it was at the time where like Microsoft had Mixer.
Right.
So Mixer,
yes.
the streaming service, was connected to the Microsoft Store. So
Yeah.
if you were looking for a specific game, they would bring you up people playing that game on Mixer. So
yeah.
it was like kind of like a cool way to promo kind of like Mixer streamers, I guess. But anyway, I went in Friday the 13th category, and there was this person streaming Friday the 13th. And I was like, oh my God, this person's like playing this live right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I've never heard of streaming before. I didn't know of like, any of the content creators, like the big ones or any of those folks. I wasn't really big into like YouTubers or any of that kind of stuff. I did not know anything about content creation. And I just went in, seen a guy playing a game that I wanted to buy, and I was like, hold on, I can talk in their chat?
Yeah.
Me? So I like brought up my little Microsoft keyboard. I didn't have the keyboard on the controller, so I was like manually like
Yeah.
scrolling across, probably spelled every word wrong with no like punctuation at all. And I was like, is the game any good? I didn't even say hello. I was just like, is the game any? So I was one of those people. I was one of those.
We've all had these chatters.
Yeah, I was one of those absolute assholes. Is the game good? You're like, yeah, of course it's good. I'm streaming it, Jeff 4695 _ Blizzard.
Jeff.
So, but yeah, anyway, so it must have came up just like a random username for me. And then I asked that. This dude went on like a 15-minute conversation about like how much he loved Friday the 13th. This is an awesome kind of like style game, blah, blah, blah. And while I was like listening to this, I was like, this is so cool. You could literally, because obviously I was always fascinated with making friends around the world or playing games with people around the world, this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, this kind of like, everything kind of like, I guess, weaved together for me
Yeah.
that I was like, this is so cool. And, my kind of personality at the time, I always wanted to do, band stuff, or I wanted to do acting. I wanted to do like media, kind of like that kind of base. So I was like, this would be very cool to kind of get into. So it blends those two worlds of, playing games that I like, talking to people, and then also, just, I guess, having the confidence to kind of like play games and people watch you play games.
Yeah.
So I took that webcam that my mom got me. I plugged it into my Xbox after a quick Google search of like using webcams and all this kind of stuff. And then I streamed from my Xbox. So I was just this little tiny pixelated picture in the corner
Yeah.
playing Rainbow Six. I was indeed. And literally nobody showed up to my stream for weeks. Why would they? You know, it was just a random name. I can't even remember what I was, like Rubber Ducky or something like that. My name was.
Sure.
And then and then nobody was like, you know, nobody was showing up, and I was like, okay, well, we'll stop this for a while. But the concept of streaming kind of got embedded in my head for a while. And then with my username type stuff, I had an email address that I used for a very, very long time. It was just kind of one of those, you know, your first email address stories where it was just always something terrible. Yeah. So I had like an email address, and that email address in the band that I was in at the time, they wanted like a band name. So we were like nameless. I'm gonna long story short this because I'm obviously spiraling off in all ends. But yeah, so the band wanted a name. I sent them one of our recordings through email, and then they were like, "Really like your email address. Where did you think of the name?" And I was like, "Oh, I thought of it because it was just, you know, I liked, you know, these things. It was like called like Color Arcade. So I was like, all right, well, like I like colors. I like the color spectrum. I like, you know, arcade, retro kind of stuff." Yeah. And they were like, "Can we name our band that?" And I was like, "Sure." And they did do a variation of it. If anybody wants to search it up, hopefully you do not, because the music's terrible. But there was different like variations of that name that created the band name, but that was from originally what it was. So I was like, this is kind of cool. But then the other part of me was like, well, now what's my email address going to be? Because then people's going to start emailing me here. So I was like, well, I love paranormal stuff. I love like spooky stuff. So Gh0stArcade, you know what I mean? Like a retro kind of like Pac-Man style, you know what I mean? Kind of stuff. So I had it. And then I typed it in, kept that email address, and then typed it in the mixer to kind of create the account. And oh boy, did I get joy in my face whenever I realized that that username was not available. Oh, so I was like, well, that is a nightmare. So instead of Gh0stArcade, I put a 0 into it. Yes. And it was, by the way, for anybody looking to know, it was taken up just by like a nothing account. You know what I mean?
There was a.
Yeah, you can always think of the most obscure name. It happens with band names as well. You think of the most obscure thing, like, I don't know, the Toaster Iron Massacre. And then you look up on Google, and then they have like 3 albums. Yeah. And you're like, why? Yeah. Why have you made this name this? Yeah. So yeah, it was the same with Gh0stArcade, I guess. So I brought the 0 in, and then tried to start up the whole streaming thing again because I had a bit more time. You know, I think it was like after Christmas, I had a bit more time, you know, the next year. So I started streaming again. And whenever I started streaming again, somebody actually came into my chat and started talking to me. And I always did this thing, which was just talk. All right, no matter what I was doing in the game, no matter where I was, no matter how boring the gameplay was, I would always talk. You know, what I'm doing, what they're doing, making silly jokes. And once again, I didn't know anything about streaming, so I didn't look up a video on how to stream or streamer advice or something like that. But I was just being like a very talkative individual, like we've probably all learned in this podcast that I am. Yeah. But, you know, so I was just talking, and the first person came in, and their first message, "Who in the heck are you talking to?" is what they asked me. Wow. And I was like, well, I'm talking to you now. How are you? How's things? And then ever since then, more people started to like come over because that person kept coming back. Yeah. And fun fact, that person is still in my community to this day.
Yay. Yeah.
They are indeed. So that was my first ever chatter that I ever had. And the first question they ever asked me was who I was talking to because I was streaming to nobody at all. So yeah, that's the username story, which was my old band stole my email address, so I had to make a new one that I then latched on to obviously the Mixer account at the time, and then moved over from Mixer to Twitch, and then and then that was it. And my mum bought me a webcam. So essentially, my mum bought me a webcam one year for Christmas, and now I'm a full-time content creator.
Thanks, Mum. That's amazing.
Yeah, LDR. Shout out to you. Yeah. Name that I will not mention. Yeah. But yes, shout out to you, Mum.
Yeah. That's wholesome as heck, man. I love that.
Yeah. honestly, dude, like genuinely, like I don't think I talk about it enough. That's why I'm talking about it a lot more now. But my parents are rock stars. Genuinely, if it wasn't for them, I don't think I would be anywhere near the person that I am. Both like kind of, I guess, like thought process wise and obviously techie wise and stuff like that as well. So they've done a lot for me without even realizing. You know.
Yeah. Oh, love that. I love that. Okay, so we've got a question for you now from a previous streamer on the podcast. Can't remember who it was, but yeah, we always ask if you to ask. We'll ask you to ask a future question to a future streamer, of course, Ghost. But yeah, this person who was previously on the podcast has asked, not you, but you, what is your favorite Zen game? And just thinking like hot cocoa and marshmallows. What's your favorite Zen game?
Like cozy game.
Yeah, game that just makes you feel good. Probably like offline when you're chilling. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure a lot of people say like the likes of like Stardew Valley and stuff like that.
They probably would, yeah.
Yeah. And they would say like really kind of like lovely stuff like that.
You're not gonna say that, are you?
Am I setting it up very well like that? Because I feel like as if I have indeed. Yes. The answer is yes. My comfy, cozy game that I love to play offline for many hours is Skyrim.
Oh, nice. Oh, wow. I'm loving that. Yes.
Yeah,
Let's go.
it's Skyrim. It is honestly been like for me, just to kind of add on this a tiny bit, Skyrim, I've been introduced to it recently. It's not something that I was introduced to a long time. And once again, it was back on our platinum hunt that myself and Kate were going into.
Lovely. Yeah,
so
yeah.
the amount of laughs that I've had in that game, of how ridiculous it is, some of the stuff, the amount of fun that I've had in that game, the amount of mystery and dialogue, and even like kind of like stuff that's a bit like icky or horror, you know, that kind of stuff with some of the like quests, they just keep coming. And it's very strange because I would usually get overwhelmed with a game that you can't fully complete, you know, like no quests left. Because obviously they'll give you a new quest for certain like type of stuff. So it's constantly like a recycling task that you'll get in some instances. And that would usually overwhelm me. However, like I can take it for forever. You know what I mean? It is an incredible game. Yeah. Super duper fun. And it is completely broken. And I love every broken aspect of it. I do indeed.
Me too.
You know?
Me too. That's a lovely answer. I love that. Yeah, I can see it as well. I'm if you don't mind me, I'm visioning that now. Right, that's so lovely. Yeah, I get an itch to play Skyrim probably every like 2 years. I'm like, I just want to play again. I'm like, I've refrained it in the last few years because of streaming content creation just takes your life over, doesn't it? So I need to break that itch at some point because I do love that game so much.
Yeah, it's so good. I will say, anybody listening to this, probably including yourself as well, if you like Skyrim, I guarantee right now you have it on more than one device.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
100%.
They're like, like 4 times, I think.
Yep. Have it for my PlayStation, have it for my Steam. If I had a Samsung smart fridge, I would have it for it as well. I would indeed.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Same. Okay, right. So lovely wrapping up then. So what are your favourite streaming memories then over the last 4 years? Again, you mentioned that very recent pickle story, which is hilarious. But like just over the last 4 years then, what are some of those memories or those moments that come to mind that, again, you know, with your community or certain milestones or whatever you feel is, you know, something that really sticks with you?
Well, once again, I'm going to answer this probably very awkwardly, but I think a lot of folks, whenever they do kind of like talk about these things, hopefully I do not sound silly saying this or like as if I'm trying to go against the grain on purpose or anything like that. But honestly, a lot of people, I think, kind of like focus on milestones being like numbers, you know, hitting partner, getting X amount of followers or viewers or stuff like that. And like, obviously that is awesome. You know, it's awesome to see your growth kind of displayed like right in front of you in analytical form and stuff like that. It's very awesome and it is a celebration. So I would never like squash anybody for kind of having that as a milestone type thing. But like for me personally, I genuinely like the reason why I always started this, the reason why I always started streaming was just that kind of like, I guess, curiosity for meeting other folks. I was a very odd individual. I still am a very odd individual anyway. It's, my personality has always been not niche now in the wider spectrum of things, but like where I grew up, it was very niche.
Yeah.
Horror movies and the kind of music I listen to and stuff like that. So I was always searching for friends who would share similar kind of stuff like that, So whenever I started streaming, I met people with similar personalities and similar kind of styles and would introduce me to like games and stuff. So I would say like big milestones for me, this is honestly one of those things, the friends we made along the way, that type of like scenario.
Yeah.
Like I can tell you, like whenever I started streaming to nobody and I had that one person in, it was absolutely phenomenal to me that person was taking time out of their day to talk to me.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And to this day, no matter how many folks I'm streaming to, whatever else, I will genuinely always try my best. And I hope my community can attest to this as well, because I don't want to say this and put an idea into someone's head and then, you come in maybe to my stream watching this or whatever, and then it's the complete opposite. Hopefully it does speak the exact same level, but I still do try and read everyone's messages and still do try and get to know folks, because at the end of the day, that is the only thing I want. A horrible thing for me would be if I ever get to a stage of a content creator where there's like animosity there that I can't know my community anymore, or chat's moving too fast that you can't read everyone's messages. And sometimes it gets like that. But yeah, that's kind of my little sidewinder. So the milestones for me is genuinely moments like my birthday, which was amazing because obviously people sent you cards and videos, and it's just fantastic if people are like thinking of you. You know what I mean? That's like friends that I've made. And then on top of that as well, a lovely recent memory for me, or a milestone for me, was recently during Pride Month. Now, just to kind of put this up here as well, I'm very sorry, by the way, my hacking follow thing's going off.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I forgot to pause my notifications, but yes, recently during Pride Month, I am straight, obviously a cis white male, that kind of thing. Not a minority whatsoever. However, there's a lot of people in my community who are from all walks of life. And one thing, once again, my parents have always taught me, and I think inherently that I have, is that everybody is very interesting and everybody has a story in their own way. As long as they're not being malicious or any of that kind of stuff, everybody deserves love. We all have, breathe the same air. We all have a heart, that type of thing. But this last Pride Month, we basically raised money for members of the LGBTQIA S2 plus community, which was absolutely incredible, through merch that we had. So we had like Pride merch, and that money was like any merch that was kind of like sold or whatever, we raised money and donated to a project called Gh0stArcade project, which have been represented by Dead by Daylight in the past. And they're kind of like a mental health company or organization, I guess, that kind of, I don't know, like help out people with, depression, anxiety, suffering from, kind of, I guess, your identity in that kind of sense. So I genuinely feel like as if that was like a huge kind of milestone or achievement for me in my community, simply because I don't want to like sound like as if, knight in shining armor, that type of thing. It's stuff like that is what I'm saying, is that is the power of your friends, or the power of, your community, if you want to put it out that way, for doing something good,
Absolutely.
Like, it's more than just playing video games. It's more than just kind of like talking hours of poo on a microphone, with a couple of cool zoomy things and sound alerts. You're genuinely connecting with lonely people, not lonely people, people who are maybe in a tough spot in their life, people who are maybe struggling to find some kind of source of light in their life, and having that tiny little connection with folks, I genuinely think is the greatest kind of achievement that I've ever done in my whole entire life, from my mum getting me this, camera for Christmas. So yeah, that's my achievements. It's not the numbers. I honestly, if I woke up tomorrow and I started streaming and I was streaming to one person, as long as that person is happy and spending time hanging out with me and we're having fun talking about whatever else or playing silly little games, I'm satisfied. You know what I mean? finances, all that kind of stuff. It'll work itself out. I'll find something, you know. It's not about that. It is genuinely just about providing that very nice space, and my satisfaction in return from that is knowing that we're hanging out together.
Yeah.
You know. And I genuinely feel like as if sometimes that's lost in a content creator's journey, because people do get bowed down by numbers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But you need to kind of know why you did it in the first place. If you did it in the first place to get big or get famous and it doesn't work out that way, well, you've kind of, you know, sowed your own seeds as such.
Yeah.
Whereas mine was completely accidental. This is just a very strange roller coaster that has brought me to where I am today.
Yeah.
And I think my values, hopefully, touch wood. This is a metal table. Fuck. But yeah, touch wood that, you know, they continue to be like that until I decide to switch off that go live message one day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
Incredible.
Sorry, once again, went for a very strange beeline there, but yeah.
No, that was,
as I said,
that was a brilliant answer. Well, thank you. Thanks for sharing that. Love that.
You're very welcome. Absolutely.
One final question, my friend, if you don't mind, if you've got time for one more, just the one. And you kind of touched upon it in pieces there already, but yeah, what advice would you give to anyone thinking that is, you know, maybe thinking of hitting that go live button for themselves for the first time? You've touched on certain fantastic, you know, tips already, but wrap it up if you wouldn't mind.
I think, like, adding on to what I said, genuinely the only thing that I would say for anybody doing this, a lot of people kind of like say the generic be yourself, or, you know, do the whole kind of like just have fun, you know. But like, if you are looking to go live, if you are looking to stream, if you're looking to create content, just be sure why you're looking to do it. If you want it to be a hobby, have it be that hobby, you know. If you want it to be hopefully a career at some stage, try your best to kind of like know what you like, you know. For me, I like you know, horror games and whatever else, and I like people who you can kind of interact with and stuff like that. So that's kind of like where my vision guides me. However, I do like people as well, like, you know, because streaming is kind of such a mixed emotions. You can have a stream like a background noise, you can have a stream like an interactive kind of like, you know, TV show. It's kind of where you want to be. A lot of people talk about your niche and stuff like that, which I completely understand, but just know why you're doing it, you know, and kind of like make sure that you are just genuinely putting the fun first, or putting the reason why you're doing it as your marker point. You know, 100%. That's like your main thing. Because for me, as I said, I didn't know what I was doing, you know, and if I had a marker point, I think it would be exactly what it is now, which is just kind of like do it for fun and make friends and stuff. Because I discovered that along the way, you know. I didn't know streamers, didn't know anything about streaming. I genuinely didn't have a clue what I was doing. And then I built that kind of little vision in my head of like, I just want to make friends. And, you know, I have found so many friends. I'm finding new friends every day. It's heckin' awesome. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Amazing. Yeah. Love that. Oh, what a chat. I absolutely enjoyed that. Thank you so much for being on, Ghost. That was
Absolutely.
And where the heck's the hour gone? But, yeah.
I know, right? Yeah. This is crazy business. Holy heck.
Oh, I absolutely love that chat. Thank you so much for being on and showing your words of wisdom and your stories. They were excellent stories. I absolutely love talking to you and again, learned so much about you. You know, so you know, I really appreciate you setting up the tone for the next season, man. I really appreciate your chat.
Yeah, no worries at all. Absolutely, dude. Thank you so much for having me, and hopefully I didn't annoy you too much. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So that's all I was saying.
Oh, but one more time, do you want to tell us where we can find you on social media? Again, they are below you. So yeah, everyone check out Gh0stArcade. I'm sure a lot of your amazing, wonderful community are going to be here listening / watching. But for those who haven't, check out Gh0stArcade. Where can we find you?
Yes, well, I am on Twitch, like genuinely anything at all except for Bumble or Tinder. Okay, I'm very happily in a relationship. But yeah, the Gh0stArcade, the O is a 0 because, well, I usually tell people that the O is a 0 because that's what I would rate myself out of 10. But now I told you the story as to why the 0,
yes,
so
yeah,
with the 0 because the other one was taken.
Yes.
You know, I mean, I had the by the way, just a sidewinder, I did have the ability to change it back, but I just liked it so much, and everybody knew me.
Yeah.
Started spelling my name with the 0. So yeah, that's why I kept it. But yeah, if you ever want to find me in any platforms, just make sure to turn your volume down because I'm very loud. That is all. You know.
Definitely.
So yeah.
Oh, hell yeah. Oh, thanks so much again. And yeah, thanks everyone for watching / listening. I hope you guys have enjoyed it, and see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.